What if Sanctuary wasn't just a place, but a way of living? Welcome to the Sanctuary Network, your weekly home for conversations that awaken the heart, heal the body, and inspire the spirit. I'm your host, Mary Ellen Popyk, the creator of Spirit Fest and the Natural Wellness Expos. For 2 decades, I've been creating spaces, now creating a bold new broadcast for mind, body, and spirit, where seekers, healers, and teachers come together to share wisdom, laughter, and transformation. We've seen what happens when communities gather. People become enlivened. Now, through the Sanctuary Network, that same spirit is reaching you, wherever you are in the world. Each week, we'll sit down with thought leaders, authors, and everyday visionaries. We'll also shine a light on the grassroots voices of the Sanctuary Marketplace, the healers, vendors, and practitioners who make this movement thrive. This isn't just another show, it's your sanctuary, a space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with what matters most. So, take a deep breath, open your heart, and join me. Together, let's step into the sanctuary. Everyone, and welcome to the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. We are going to be discussing something I've been wanting to do for a while now. We occasionally give tips on our shows, but this entire show is going to be dedicated to starting a conscious business, and everything that comes along with it. It's sacred marketing. That's one of the terms that I like to use about it. So I chose for my guest today 2 women that I have seen develop a fantastic business, and I'm so proud of them. And they really know what it's like. It's not easy to start your own business from scratch, to be a sole proprietor, so to speak. So my guests today are Elysa Padin. Am I saying your last name right? Padin? No, say it. Say it again.
Elysa Padin.
Elysa Padin. Sorry. And you are the owner of Popyk Lux. You just changed the name, correct? Okay, we'll get into that later too. And then Gina Scorza is Moonglow Minerals, and you have got a fantastic product too. You guys both are so creative, and the amount of research and creativity that you put into your business has been just amazing. But I thought maybe we would just start at the beginning about what it's like to start a conscious business. And my story is very short. I've been doing events. I remember doing a carnival for muscular dystrophy when I was 7. And I liked doing events. I liked gathering people together. And as a child, being able to see and hear things other people couldn't, I thought everybody could, but then I realized they couldn't. I went to a psychic fair when I was 12, and it was like finding the mothership. I was just so important to me to be able to have the resources that I had there in that room where everybody thought like me. And then fast forward, and we got started very small. And Gina, in fact, was at one of my first Florida shows. So we had the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit in Memphis, and I did my first show in 2005 at a hotel. And it became so popular so fast, we ended up getting retail space so that we could have a side room just for classes and special guests and things. And then the merchandise aspect of it. And then I sold the shop in 2012, moved to Florida, and thought I was going to just live a mundane life. And I was just going to, just go about my business. And that didn't last very long. Even though I was working at Disney, I had a great job, and decided I missed this too much. So I started a very small show. I think the first show was 19 booths, if I remember correctly. And we were all just kind of squeezed into a little bit. But let me start with Gina, because I know that you've been a little bit, and your story, Elysa, is really interesting too, about how you, or what the catalyst for the beginning was. So Gina, tell us how you got started with Moonglow Minerals. Now what's known as Moonglow Minerals.
Right. I've rebranded a few times, but yes. And thank you for having me. I'm very, very honored to be here. So I was actually expecting my second daughter, and I was, if you've ever been pregnant, you understand all the fun things that we get to experience, the leg cramps and not being able to sleep, baby sitting on your diaphragm. You're very uncomfortable. And I won't take anything during the pregnancy, even over the counter stuff. So I went to an acupuncturist to get relief, and she recommended the magnesium oil for my legs because I wanted to cut them off. They would not stop cramping and jumping, and it was very uncomfortable. I wasn't sleeping. I was very moody. So in that session, she explained that if I use this oil on my legs, it would help them to stop cramping. And I looked at her like she had three heads because I had never heard of anything like that. So I went home, put the oil on my legs, and it was the first night of the pregnancy that I slept. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, what is this? Because that's magical. And I started using it every single day, but I didn't like the way it felt on my skin. It would itch, it would sting, it would leave like a white chalky film. And I didn't want to go back to the field that I was in prior to having her. I really wanted to be more home and be more present for my children. And so I started playing around with the magnesium oil and I put it into a cream because again, I didn't like the way it felt. And I
Mhm.
started when after she was born, she was about 6 weeks old, her and my oldest, we started doing farmers markets locally. And I've grown it from there since. Like
Mhm.
I don't make it in my kitchen anymore. It's manufactured and I'm retailed all over the country now. But it
Wow.
was very much from the bootstraps, like
What year was that?
2000. And I just celebrated 11 years a week or
Wow.
so ago. So 2018.
Hmm.
No, I'm sorry. 2015 is when I started.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And Elysa, tell us about how you got started.
Um, I had worked in fine jewelry for about 10 years, and I knew that I wanted to own a business of some kind. So originally, my path was to become an appraiser and become certified with GIA and then travel up and down Florida. So
Hmm.
that was always part of the plan. And then when the pandemic happened, I was working for a small mom and pop shop in the villages, and he had to lay everyone off, of course. So I didn't know what to do from there, but I did know that I've done so much work for other people. Why couldn't I invest in myself and do that? So the idea started with candles because it was low risk, high reward. And I played around with different types of wax. I developed some scents that I really liked. And I used crystals and herbs for intentions and manifestation. So each candle was designed to manifest your desires, to call in the things that you wanted most, whether that's love, prosperity, healing,
Hmm.
grief. And as time went on, I didn't enjoy making candles as much as I did in the beginning, and I found that the perfumery was more my niche. So I started making different collections like tarot and astrology, um, and I don't know where to go from there.
Well, how about how you started your first? So that was going to be my next question was once you guys started your products, what did you do from there? How did you first get it out to the public? So
Oh,
just
online.
yeah, yes.
For me, it was online. I taught myself how to network on Facebook. I built a Facebook group to 5,000 followers, and I worked with other small businesses that were also trying to grow during the pandemic. And I was online only for those first 2 years.
Hmm.
Um,
So Gina, during the pandemic, how was your business?
Actually, I'm very blessed because I've built such a strong niche of customers that they've always stayed with me. So
Good.
I really am very grateful. 11 years in, and I've had people since the very beginning, and they've been rocking with my products, and I've grown my product line beyond creams. I have the deodorants, I have soaps, I have
Hmm.
the CBD added as well. I'm one of the first companies to do magnesium and CBD together. That
Hmm.
was really important for me to add that element. But yeah, during the pandemic, I mean, it slowed down a little bit. I think the biggest hit I took were my wholesale accounts because they were shutting down.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so I just, stayed online, stayed present. And then obviously doing the shows, that
Hmm.
has been my biggest way of reaching more people. When I started, online was magical. There wasn't an algorithm. There wasn't like, you had to pay to play type stuff. I could post and it would reach. Now it's a different ball game. So that's why you've seen me come back out to the shows because I'm
Hmm.
very much a people person. So you put me in front of people and it's where I do the best. So that's
Hmm.
why you've seen me more. And I love doing the shows. They're so much fun and they're very well attended and the environment is such a peaceful, pleasant space to really showcase your passion. And I think that's a big part
Right.
of doing this, sharing my story. I had postpartum with my first, and most women won't admit the kind of crazy roller coaster that we go through. And that's a big part of my story and the difference of having it with my first and not with my second. So
Hmm.
I've been very vulnerable with sharing my story, my highs, my lows, and all the
Hmm.
different things that I was going through. And I think people related and connected that to me. So just
Hmm.
getting out and really like not giving up. 'Cause that's,
And Elisa, you started yours during the pandemic, which could not have been easy.
yeah.
But at the same time, everybody was focused more online because they weren't at the shows. So a lot of your product is fragrance. How did you kind of overcome that? Did you describe the scents to people, or what did you do to convey how awesome your products are?
Well, there was this huge wave, I would say, of people who you were forced to slow down and become more intentional with their day-to-day life, and really you just wanted to feel good. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I find really soothing is lighting a candle and reading a book, or, setting the mood for your home. I'm very good at storytelling and writing. My descriptions were um, immersive.
Hmm.
I also had sent out free like little tea lights or samples to potential
Smart.
that they would order the full size one, or off
Hmm.
coupon codes so they'd come back. And that's really how I was able to get started.
Hmm. If you each had one piece of advice for somebody who had not started, that was interested in creating their own business, what would they be? We'll start with Gina.
Whew, one. Um, don't give up. Don't let the no stop you. You're
Hmm.
going to have a lot of them. You're going to
Hmm.
have people tell you no all the time. Let that fuel you,
Hmm.
especially if your heart's in it. If your heart is in it, there's really, no stopping you. And that's what I've always believed because most people are still surprised I'm in business for as long as I have been, but it's because, and I always say, I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I love it. And that's my
Hmm.
biggest joy in what I do. So don't let the no's or other people's opinions or unsolicited advice stop you at times. You know what I mean? Try to let it
Hmm.
roll and keep going. Like just keep going. If you're really passionate about it, the doors will open.
There's a saying in the Bible, go home and tell no one.
Hmm.
And then that's what it is sometimes when you put it out there to somebody who may not share your vision, they don't get it. And I feel like that's so powerful in what we do is that we see the vision and we know where we're going to go, and we don't need anybody to tell us no. When I ask for people's opinion, I'm going to ask for people of like mind that I know can give me their feedback and their best, opinion, or even just from another perspective of somebody else. Elysa, what about you? From when you very first started and you talk to somebody else who's just getting started following their dream, what would you tell them?
Being yourself and believing in yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
I feel that a lot of what brought me success is that people loved my personality. They loved the energy that I brought. I did a lot of live streaming in those beginning days where I did live tarot or astrology readings for people. And that definitely helped as well because you're the face of your brand. There's no one like you.
Right,
A lot
right.
of times when you're starting out, there's a lot of background noise of all of the other businesses, and it can be intimidating, but you just have to focus on yourself and what you bring to the table and who you are, because that authenticity will shine through.
Right. I know from a spiritual, metaphysical, ethereal standpoint, if you are interested in doing something or teaching something or creating something, there is people out there that are interested in it. That's just sort of the nature of how things go. If there wasn't anybody else that was interested in it, we wouldn't be thinking of doing it. So I know that both of you are now kind of stepping into the more the metaphysical realm, doing your own readings and things like that, which I also think is really cool. But to me, that shows how much you guys relied on your intuition in the beginning. And that would be something else that I think people should really be aware of, is to really learn to follow your intuition. If you think that this is a good idea, then go with that too. And then we talk about this a lot at the shows, just follow your joy, follow your passion. The more that you are excited about what you do and you don't view it as work and you're not focusing on all what might seem like obstacles, the more the universe is going to provide for you, maybe in a way you didn't expect. So speaking of obstacles, and again, we'll start with Gina, just because you started a little bit longer ago. Did you face any obstacles in the beginning, or how hard was it to really get things started, especially with kids?
I would say the biggest thing is the capital, when you're doing it from nothing, you really are kind of figuring out, okay, how do I take what I've made and turn it into more?
Hmm.
And let it grow. I haven't had like investors or anything like that, so it really has been very much bootstrapping it. But at the same time, the obstacles are always going to be there. And I think for me, I'm a very like I really do kind of almost thrive when people tell me I can't do something. It's like I'm gonna make it even bigger. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So it almost fuels me to prove that I can do
Right.
it. I had a business partner too, and you were well aware of what I went through in that space, and that was probably the most challenging thing I've ever been through. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it showed me how strong I can be, even when you're faced with like possibly losing everything or going through what I went through legally and all that stress. If anything, I think it made me stronger. So, and sometimes I'm even grateful for those things that I've been through because it's what got me to where I am.
Hmm.
And so again, it's just you have to you're gonna have hurdles, you're gonna have doors shut, so just go around it and try to find
Right.
another way. Again, when your heart's in it and this is your purpose, really God does open it up. It doesn't mean there won't be adversities or challenges. It just shows you that it's your will and your strong desire to succeed that really nothing can stop you.
I'm going to circle back to the legal things because there's a lot that we could talk about with regard to that.
Mhm.
But Elysa, tell us, how did you get started just from the very first candle that you made, even like suppliers? How did you guys find, where the products that you were going to, some people just go buy at retail at Michael's with a 40% off coupon. So I'm interested to know how you got started.
Um, I did a lot of Googling. I found a company that I really liked, and I liked their mission statement, to be vegan, cruelty free, ethical, to not use phthalates and all of those chemicals and whatnot that people find at Bath and Body Works and other big brands
Hmm.
for you. Um, so that was really important to me. And funny enough, I originally wanted to do upcycled vintage votives. So my
Hmm.
first jars were like thrifted glass containers.
Wow.
I loved the idea of recycling, but as time went on and I really had more of a vision of my brand, it wasn't cohesive enough for me, like having all different types of votives and whatnot. I wanted like branding, packaging that was more me. So then I started looking into tins and
Hmm.
trying to find the right colors and designs. I also commissioned an artist to create sigils for my candles. So they
Hmm.
all had a sigil design for that particular intention. Um, and then touching on what Gina said about no's and not taking no for I started at the Lake Mary Farmers Market, and that was like my very first consistent market.
Hmm.
That's crazy that both of us started there. I'm sorry, I didn't even mean it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
we shop with each other too. Like it's so beautiful. Yeah, we both started
Okay.
at that market. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. So the market manager at the time was very insistent that I could not sell my candles on their own. I had to create packaging, like I had to sell four different types of items. So I started making little gift sets where it was a mini candle, a mini oil, a bath soak, and a lip balm. And
Hmm.
very tedious. And she'd come over to my booth and tell me I had to rearrange something or whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? Just get through it. Get through it. You know, you got in. This is
Hmm.
consistent. And then a new market manager came, and the rules
Hmm.
that she had in place no longer applied, and I could just grow from there.
Uh-huh.
But there was so many times where I just wanted to quit because I'm like, why am I under your thumb right now?
Right. I have a couple thoughts. So one is when they initially told you that you had to have more products, you probably took that as a challenge, not as an impediment. Oh my God, what am I going to do?
Right.
So sometimes that's how the universe gets us to do what we want to do. I, the universe will lead you or it will drag you.
You choose how you want to show up.
Exactly. But so did they tell you how your table had to look?
She did.
She
Um,
didn't even suggest it. She told you what you needed to change. Wow. Okay. And then the new person doesn't do that anymore?
no.
Okay. That is one thing that I try to do. I really try to stay out of how you guys run your business, what you do, because I trust that you guys know well enough. Sometimes I might, if your sign is facing a way that I don't think it's going to get maximum views, and I'll even walk down the aisle multiple times just to see. And I might suggest, hey, you might want to turn this way or move it back or whatever. More people might see it, and then you can do it or not. I don't, have any attachment to it, but I mostly just, but that's interesting that they would get that involved. So they must have a lot of time. And how big is that farmers market? How many booths is there?
Well, they have new management now, so it kind of varies. It was a very big market of about 50 vendors.
Hmm.
I think there's about 25 now. It's
Hmm.
a lot smaller.
Okay. Gina, where did you go after you started your first show? Like, how did you get bigger? How did you end up at Spirit Fest years ago?
So I got into every show I could possibly do, from
Okay.
the farmers markets. So I started at Lake Mary's Farmers Market 11 years ago with a baby, like literally a 6-week-old baby. I'd wear her, nurse, the whole nine. It was wild. And I
Uh-huh.
think that actually helped me because people were like, oh, baby,
Uh-huh.
And then I did like the DeLand Indie Market, the DeLand Arts and Crafts Show, because I was a handmade product, because I
Hmm.
was making everything in my kitchen originally. So I
Hmm.
was able to get into a lot of the handmade shows. And then as I grew and wanted to add the CBD, I knew I couldn't make it anymore. And that's when I got manufactured. Then I went from doing the farmers markets where I've done big CBD expos, health and wellness expos. We did FitCon in Utah. I mean,
Hmm.
we were
Wow.
really trying to, get out there.
Uh-huh.
But then but there's a risk with that. That was not our market. That was actually one of the worst shows I've ever done. And I
Really?
all the way to Utah. We lost a lot of money, and that show was not our target market. So there's risks, right? There's a lot of risks with where you go, the shows you do. But one thing
Hmm.
about Spirit Fest, it's one of the best shows I've ever done, and it's consistent. And that's why I'm such a I love it. And you, it's not even just the people that come, the vendors, it's like a family. And
Hmm.
you feel like you're in a safe space. The vendors buy from me. I buy from them. Like we really
Hmm.
do like take care of each other. We support each other. Even when there's even been maybe conflicting, but it doesn't, like we're all still very supportive of each other. And to
Absolutely.
me, that feels better because it's personal,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of love in that building, and I will be wherever there's love. Like I'll always go wherever it feels good. And I've done other shows. I know when you're dealing with other people running things, you're kind of like stuck to what they say. I
Hmm.
like that you give us freedom, but I also appreciate the, like, hey, the sign is too, if it's blocking someone else, like you have a very gentle way of saying, hey, let's move it a little bit without it, so I can
Hmm.
appreciate the respect that's given. for us and then vice versa. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's why I want things to be the way that they are. I want everybody to feel comfortable and feel that high vibration.
mhm.
This isn't, just a place to separate people from their money. This is really an atmosphere. And I really believe that this is where we're going as a civilization, as a planet, that we are going to more heart-centered. And what feels like chaos right now and all the, the darker stuff or, lower vibration stuff is bubbling up, but that's really where we're headed. And that's one of the reasons when I encounter obstacles, I try not to view them as obstacles, but as an opportunity, to maybe raise ourselves to a different level or do something there too. But I remember back, in the early days when we were still small, you coming up to me and saying, I can't believe I did better here than I did at a wellness expo.
Mhm.
I thought that was so great.
Mhm.
So I do tell people when they're interested in doing our show, if your show's remotely or your product's holistic, metaphysical, again, heart-centered, beautiful, crafty, and art authors, all of those, demographics fall into that. 100% of the people that come through our door are interested in what you do. It's not like going to a boat show where some people might be interested, in what you've got, some people might not too. So that's really a good thing as well. So, so Elysa, so I love the story about how you did your first Spirit Fest.
So I'd actually heard about Spirit Fest in 2022 through like a Facebook group. And I was looking at the fees and I'm like, I can't afford this right now. Um, and
And
then
just for the record, our fees aren't that high compared to some other shows like ours. Disclaimer. Okay, go ahead.
for business, which is what I felt like at the time, it
Right.
a bit more than I could do. So then, what was it? I think I'd started doing the Lake Mary Farmers Market. I also found a really cool market in Orlando that was called the Moon Mercado that did like the all of the lunar cycles and whatnot. I wanted to do something bigger and I revisited the Spirit Fest idea, but I thought, why don't I crowdfund it from my customers? And it was right around the time of my birthday when um, they're always asking you, who do you want to donate to? And I'm like, well, let's go with my business. And
Hmm.
I made a post and my customers helped me. I sent all of them little donation or sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here. I sent them little gift boxes as my appreciation for their donation towards my.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
And I just remember setting up, and I was setting up next to Chrysalis and her beautiful jewelry. And I was so like inspired by all of the booths and all of the people that I met. Everyone was so friendly and kind. Like the energy of that event was so different than anything I'd experienced anywhere else. And I just knew I have to do this again.
Aw.
I spent all week, day and night, preparing. I poured, I think, 150 candles and made 200 oils. I just put all of my heart into handcrafting everything. And at the time, I had a very small space of jewelry, maybe like 4 feet, but I had two 8-foot tables of fully handmade product by me. Um, when I did that event. It was in Sarasota.
I did not know that you had done that, and your booth was beautiful. And as far as I knew, you'd been doing it for a really long time. And it was several months later, I happened to stumble upon the post. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And then I loved that then a year later, you said that it would now had been a year. And I was just looking at how far you'd come. And I believe our producer is going to be showing some of the booths that both of you have at Spirit Fest and the great products that you have. And because it's so fun when you're there too, just being able to talk to the people. So we're about to head into our next break. And then when we come back, we're going to be getting into a whole bunch more things about what is required to run your own business for us sole proprietors. But first of all, Elysa, tell us how people can find you and where they can see your great products.
I am on Instagram under Apothic Wix. My Facebook and my Etsy are both Apothic Lux, Luxe. And
Mhm.
I have all of my products online.
Okay, okay. And then Gina, where can people find you?
www.moonglowminerals.com is my website. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook under the same handle, Moonglow Minerals.
Okay, and if you are on our Transformation Network page, if you'll click on where our guests are, you'll see all of their links to social media and everything there. So Spirit Fest, you can always find us at spiritfestusa.com, and we've got a lot of shows coming up. Our next show, we just went to the Villages, which was really awesome. They loved us. And it was such a different crowd. It was just so neat. But we're going to Memphis after this, and I am really excited about that too. Then our next Florida show is going to be in Sarasota. So I hope people will go to our website and see more about what we've got going on because we've got all kinds of things. So, all right. So if everybody will just stay with us, we'll be back in a few minutes after the break.
Hi, this is the Celtic seer, Barbara McGillicuddy, and you can find me at barbaramcgillicuddy.com or on YouTube at Metaphysical Awakenings with Barbara and Eric. As a medium and animal communicator, it is my joy to speak with people on this side and people who have crossed over to bring forth beautiful messages of love.
Hi, I'm Susan from My Enchanted Path, where I create divinely guided candles, intention oils, soaps, and more that make your spiritual practice simple. No complicated rituals needed. The names may be playful, but every product is serious about helping you shift your energy. All fragrances are clean and safe, free from the major toxins no one wants in their home or on their skin. With a 5-star rating and over 100,000 customers, MyEnchantedPath.com is a place to find charming items for an enchanted life.
Are you longing for the deepest healing of your soul? The kind that transforms you from the soul outward? At JewishHealer.com, Dr. Doran Shalev offers powerful energy healing rooted in the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, where he heals the body through the soul and the soul through divine connection. Your transformation begins with a single session. Treat yourself and book yours today at JewishHealer.com. All sessions are 50% off through December.
Join us for Spirit Fest, coming soon to a city near you. Spirit Fest is a metaphysical, holistic, and crystal expo featuring an amazing array of vendors, speakers, authors, artists, crystals, healers, psychic readers, and more. Spirit Fest is your chance to explore and connect with others of like mind. Get all details, including our upcoming locations up and down the East Coast, also discounted admission, and more at spiritfestusa.com. Our next event is January 10th and 11th with special guests and special presentations, including psychic explorer, medium Mark Anthony, and also historical researcher, explorer, and author Jim Vieira. More details are coming to our website soon, and we look forward to seeing you at Spirit Fest in 2026. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. We are having a really great and informative discussion about starting your own conscious business, or what it's like to own a conscious business. For those of you who have a conscious business, you can learn from our tips and learn from what everybody else is doing. And if you're thinking about starting one, hopefully this is going to be inspiration for you to take the leap. So I am here with Elysa Padin, who has Popyk Luxe, which is scents, candles, jewelry, all kinds of really beautiful things. And then Gina Scorza is the owner and creator of Moonglow Minerals, which are magnesium-based products, magnesium lotion, magnesium with CBD, soaps, deodorants. I really like the deodorant. So we were talking earlier about legal things, about Gina, you had talked about you had a partner. And when you decided to dissolve that partnership that it was very difficult on you. And I know from experience, it's very difficult to be in business and also want to be nice and be kind. And I'm for those of you who know about astrology, I'm a Libra moon and I'm a Pisces rising. And
Oh my
those are the
God.
two most dominant signs. So Libra is all about rules and order and fairness. And then Pisces are like, I just love everybody. I just want to help you. And so they fight.
I'm the same. I'm a
Yeah.
Pisces rising Libra moon.
Oh my God. Okay, okay. So you know um like what that's like. So
Our
what I
feelings can get
finally,
hurt.
once I knew it, and that's a good reason to look at your astrology chart. Once I knew that thing, I really kind of understood a little bit more what was going on because I will say in the beginning, I did give away too much.
Mhm.
If somebody didn't have any money or they needed help or, it was a friend of mine, I would, give away, more than was probably sensible. So now it's just business. I treat everybody the same. That's one thing about Spirit Fest. I really, as much as I would like to make, conditions for people or make exceptions, I really don't feel like I can because if I do it for you, because it's a really good reason, how do I know, how do I tell the next person I can't? Because maybe the reason isn't as good. So I just do that to treat everybody the same. And then sometimes when difficult things do come up, I just say it. I just say this is how it is and this is how it's going to be. If there's any dialogue or discussion necessary, then I'll listen. But I'm pretty firm with what the rules are, and I always go by what the law is. If that's what it's going to boil down to is what's going to hold up in a court of law, I think, is the law. But it's really difficult, I know, not to take those things personally. When somebody gets mad at you or you're fighting, it's like a divorce, you
It
know.
was.
Yeah, yeah. But in the end, hopefully everything worked out in your best interest. And that was when you rebranded too. So
Mhm.
how did the rebranding affect your business, or did you think that it did at all?
I think it did. And I really wasn't prepared for that. I really, because when I first started, my business was Kiss My Bath Essentials. And then it went from, yeah. I always like
That's
to
great.
play on words. And then it went from that to dope minerals because again, adding the CBD to the magnesium, right?
Mhm.
And then when her and I did fall apart, I guess you could say, or decided to go different ways, it was like, what do I do now? I went through like a whole 3 month legal battle of fighting to keep what I started.
Mhm.
And that was really hard because this was someone that I loved, someone that I cared about, like not in an intimate way, but we were friends, we were like family. And again, I realized my feelings were too much in this and I didn't know how to separate them. So
Mhm.
that in itself was a big lesson for me that your feelings really don't belong in business, but I didn't know how to not because this was like a child of mine. This was something I birthed, I created, and to
Mhm.
feel like someone was trying to take that from me makes you very like very defensive. So anyways, once that finally like resolved, there was this sense of like, okay, it's mine now again. And that's when I sat with it. It's like, do you want to keep the name? Even though it was still, I named it, it was still mine, but there was still that just leftover energy.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I got the opportunity to rebrand and they came to me with the name, they didn't even have to like sell me on it, especially because I had just started getting into my spiritual journey.
Mhm.
So the moon, I was like, I follow the moon. This is
So
perfect.
who is they? Your
I
guides?
ended up involved with a marketing company actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
I actually pitched for Elevator Pitch
Mhm.
and was on a YouTube show and got the deal on the show actually. And after that happened, and then the guy who invested in me backed out. That's when it was like rebrand now. Do
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
rebrand now. Since this
Mhm.
isn't going to go anywhere, let's do the rebrand now. But that was a big risk
Mhm.
because I think I may have moved too fast. And I don't think I lost customers, but I think people were confused as to what was happening.
Mhm.
And so I had to kind of almost, it wasn't like I started over, but it felt like I lost a little traction. And so, but again, you keep going. You don't give up, you just
Right.
keep going. And that's where I've been now because the rebrand is, I think, almost 3 or 4 years ago at this point in time. So,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
still, I'm still here.
And
Um,
Elisa, you just recently rebranded.
mhm.
Yeah.
Was it just because you wanted to?
I felt like the Wix part of my name didn't resonate anymore. Um, and it was originally Apothic Wix Luxury Candles and Jewels.
Hmm.
Want to make candles in small drops, but not feel as pressured to do it for every event because it is.
Hmm.
Um, so I pondered this for about a year actually before I made the jump and committed to Apothic Lux. So I tried to keep it as adjacent as possible so that people could still find me.
Hmm.
And I officially made the announcement before I went to California. I knew that when I was expanding to that market, that I needed to have it done so that those people would be able to find me and not be confused.
Right.
I changed my Etsy and my Facebook, but I left my Instagram handle the same just so I can make that transition a little bit slower. So eventually that'll become Apothic Lux as well.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I felt like that was more of the move because for me, my brand, I want it to feel elevated, luxurious, treat yourself, that kind of energy.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I
will
love it, by
confess,
the
I'm
way.
one of those people that when I get a really nice luxury candle like you have, I don't burn it. It's like soap, same thing. I get the soap and it smells so delicious, and keep it in the bathroom and I look at it. And so I'm starting to get better. Post-pandemic, I've gotten better about that for sure. Because what good is beautiful things that are made to be used if they're just going to sit and look at them?
Yeah.
So you can't take them with you when you die. So, yeah. So, you mentioned you just went to California. Were you able, being in Florida, to be able to get your products and to be able to take the show on the road, so to speak? You didn't drive.
So I mailed all my products to the hotel. The event was hosted at the Biltmore, and the coordinators actually will you address it to the coordinators, and then they hang on to your merchandise for you until you arrive.
Mhm.
The tables are provided, and it was a book convention, so a lot of authors mail their books to the event, so it made it a lot easier and
Was
effective.
there an extra charge to mail the boxes?
No, no.
Some hotels will charge $25 a box. That was why I was asking. So that's great that they offered that service.
I think because the coordinators were directly handling it, they didn't.
Mm.
I also brought some oils on the plane. I
Mhm.
wasn't how that was going to go over, but I was concerned I didn't have enough merchandise. So it's a good thing I did. And I just stuck them last minute into my bag and they made it safely.
Good. And you said you had a great show.
Oh, it was so amazing. The West,
Good.
like anywhere I've ever been.
I have felt the same way. So we may be looking at going to do shows out there too. So that leads me to you, Gina. How did you get your inventory to Salt Lake City?
Ship it.
Or you said Utah. I assume it was Salt
Yeah,
Lake.
yeah, but we were in Salt Lake City. We shipped everything, and because it was at the convention center, it was kind of the same thing. You send it to them, they know what booth you're in. You literally arrive, and everything is sitting right there.
Nice.
The biggest thing was we paid a lot of money for taking the setup, the booth setup, because I had to have like it's a different booth setup than what I use for Spirit Fest. It's
Hmm.
actually the like expo stuff. So
Hmm.
that was like luggage that we had to pay extra. So it was a
Hmm.
lot. There was like five, there was like what, one, two, three, four, five of us because of all this stuff. And again, you would
Wow.
have thought with 30,000 people, I would have sold out, but it was one of the most disappointing shows I've ever done,
Why do
actually.
you think that was? Do you think there was a lot of other people with similar product,
No.
or what was it?
It was the market. So it was called FitCon. Just, I guess, assumed, maybe that was my mistake, that they would be healthy people, but it was more aesthetically fit. It was more of like the muscle wear, the like protein shakes. There was like a whole like fuel
Hmm.
stage. So it just wasn't a natural, it was my product wasn't their
Hmm.
desire, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a lot of people. They had like different sports things going on. I mean, it's a massive event. but it just wasn't the target audience for the products that I had. It was a lot more muscle, more fitness wear, more of the like supplement
Hmm.
business, you would say. And so
Hmm.
it wasn't good. But that again, that's the risk you take when you get into a show you haven't done before.
Have you done any other shows that just were not good for you? I'm interested to know like why or what people can do to research ahead of time or things they could look for to know if this is going to be a successful show.
So one of the best pieces of advice I got when I first started, and I'm so grateful because I tend to be the person to be like, I've got to sell, you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? And they said that never look at it as a loss, look at it as a marketing expense.
Hmm.
And whether or
Yeah.
not you resell anything, think about all the people you meet, hand your card to, hand a
Hmm.
sample to. And so with that mindset, when I do a show, I don't look at, I've always looked at an opportunity to connect with people. And whether they
Hmm.
buy it from me now or later, or if I get a wholesale account at the show, I think they're honestly, that's probably the worst show I've ever done, that FitCon one. Every other show I've
Hmm.
done, I've made money. I've done very
Good.
well. So
Good.
that was one. To research, I mean, I think one of the best things is like you get to know the person putting on the show. I'll never tell somebody don't do a show that's brand new because they're getting their legs too. And
Hmm.
again, look at it as a marketing expense. Look at all the people. If you don't sell to the customers, get to know the vendors.
Hmm.
You've
Right.
got to put yourself out there. You also have to promote for your business at the show.
Hmm. Yes.
So
Yep.
it's a two-way marketing street for the show and for you. You can't just put it on the show to bring people. You have to also let your audience, your people know where you're going to be so that they can find you as well.
That's another really good point too. We really need the vendors to cross promote the show
Yes.
because there's nothing like, we can promote it and there people maybe that have been before or maybe people that have not heard of us before, but when they know you and you're recommending it and you're going to be there, that's another, really, really important thing too. So Elysa, what about you? So one more thought too is when you do look at the bottom line, that's not always the way to determine whether a show was successful. Um, like you said, you don't know that 3 weeks from after the show that you didn't are not going to get a big wholesale order or something like that. And or the contacts that you'll make. But Elysa, has there been any shows that you did that just weren't good that now you would know to look out for something like that? You would not do it again?
I think sometimes I also do better dependent on the area. Like
Hmm.
I don't do well in Ocala. I don't do well in the villages. They're just not my target
Hmm.
audience. I do very well on the coast, Sarasota, West Palm Beach, like the
Hmm.
towns. I have a really strong following from, I'd say, Port St. Lucie, Jupiter, and down.
Hmm.
And when I'm looking at a new show, I check to see if they're promoting it. I check to see how many likes and followers they have. If I have any vendors that I know that are going to be in that show, um,
Hmm.
I'm a lot more hesitant on what I'll take a risk on. Um,
Hmm.
I did a show in the villages in Brownwood once, and all of my inventory melted and my pants ripped, and I cried, and I was like, I'm going home. And
Oh no.
if you go home, you can't come back. And I'm like, I'm never coming back.
So was it outside?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Well, how do you guys keep your things from melting in Florida in outside shows?
So normally it was in the middle of August. It was just so hot, but normally I didn't have that problem. I would just keep things out of the sun and
Hmm.
a few of them on display. The
Hmm.
oils are fine. It's the candles that would melt. And
Hmm.
so had some lotions at that show and they were really, really warm. And the bottles started to expand because of how hot.
Wow.
I
But
kept a
Wow.
cooler at
I,
times. Sorry.
Okay.
oh yeah, I'm definitely more willing to take a risk on a show that I know the coordinator. Like I would follow Spirit Fest to California to Memphis. I actually will go to
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
because I know you and I believe in you and I believe in what.
Hmm. Yeah, that's going to be a good show. Because that's where we got started. So we've got a pretty good following there, but where was I going? I don't look at, we promote our book, and I wish that there was an event thing on Instagram where we could tell how many people were interested. We could look at our comments and things like that, but it's not really the same as the Facebook events where people mark themselves, going or interested. And even still, 10 or 20% might actually come, but it just gives us an idea of how many people are seeing our show. But if you're considering a new show, or maybe it's not even a new show, and they've got like 80 people have said that they're going, that's not a good sign. So we usually have a couple thousand that have said, to our shows, but not always. The Villages, that was one. Not a lot of people were on social media, and our attendance was really good there. So it doesn't always. And I could do a whole show just on this. The Facebook algorithms drive me crazy. So it used to be the way that we could promote events was different, but something happened with our Villages event. When I would go to boost an ad, it wouldn't allow it. And it just said that this is not eligible to be posted. And there was no way to do it. And I think it had something to do with how the event was built. I don't know if we edited it or what really the problem was, but enough people had liked it that we didn't want to um, delete it and start a new one. But so we ended up doing a lot of really weird ads, or just different ads than we normally do because they all needed to be created from scratch and none of them were linked to the event. That was just another thing too. So if you ever, think that you're having problems with Facebook, no, it is not just you. But obviously, we have a lot of people that don't want to be on social media, readers, healers. They just don't have time for it and they don't like the energy of it and they just don't want to be, they don't want to do it. Do you have any advice for them? I know what I tell them, but Elysa,
Posts.
say
Uh,
that again.
Schedule your posts. That's take a day, carve it out, make sure all of your platforms are linked, and
Nice.
schedule them. And
Mhm.
I think that has been tremendously helpful for me because I get stuck down a doom scrolling rabbit hole sometimes.
Mhm.
I'll go on Facebook to promote my business, then all of a sudden I'm watching TikToks.
Yes. I can relate to that too. Gina, do you have any social media advice?
As someone who never liked being on camera, I've had to get over it
Hmm.
because I realized that I am my business, my story, even with what I do with the my other business, I've started to be more visual for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think you have to kind of play the game, unfortunately, and I know some people, I get it. I really truly do because it's not enjoyable for me, but I think when you start hitting walls on how to, like, if like this isn't working, you have to be able to pivot. And I think
Hmm.
that's just with business and anything, like you have to be able to find another way. If
Hmm.
you're not going to do social media, then again, the events or just your local business meetups, whatever you can do to kind of let people know who you are and what you're doing, you have to be able to kind of like adjust and pivot.
Right. For the readers and the healers that do our show, we now require them to have a website because there are unfortunately a lot of fakers and posers out there, people who just want your money, who are not good at what they do. And to us, they're not online because then people can't find them when they realize that they, may or may not have been duped. But there are people that say the same thing. I don't have a website. I don't know how to do it. And people just find me through word of mouth or they do events or whatever. But I tell them that they have to have it now because if nothing other than, for our sake, if there were to be a problem, their customers do need to be able to find them. But it shows to me a level um, of dedication and commitment to your business.
And
So I
credibility.
and credibility, absolutely. So
Mhm.
the very first thing people need to do is get a website, even if it's just one page, and you could do it through GoDaddy or Wix or Weebly, something so simple anybody could do it. But there's a company, I don't know if you guys have ever used it. It's called Fiverr, and
Mhm.
there's two R's in Fiverr. And there's people that'll do something for you for $15. If you just need help doing that one page website, it's probably going to be $50. It's easy and they'll create it for you, and you don't really need to have a lot of technological, expertise. But I really think that social media is just about as important because people need to see you. And if they can't find, first of all, why aren't you on there? I hate to put it this way, but a lot of older people aren't on there. And but young people, if you're in business, you're going to want to appeal to everybody of every age, and you need to really keep ahead of what are the trends. And that's why the different sites are important too. Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok, if you're comfortable with the video as compared to making posts and things like that. I do think it's important. And one of our vendors who was she wanted to do it so bad, and she just did not feel comfortable with technology at all. Just had her nephew make her Facebook and her Instagram page. And that was all she needed. And now she's on there. So it doesn't really take a lot with that either. So I love the idea about scheduling posts and then doing some videos, but you being the face of your business, and you just do it. People love when they come to the shows to be able to recognize you. Even from these shows, I'm often at the admission table when people come in and they'll say, "Oh, hey, I watched your show," and I just love that. I think that's great. But they really do like to make that connection. And that's what's different between now and the pandemic time where everything was online, is getting to be able to be in person, to, just be there, that community, that one-on-one. There's just nothing, I don't think, that can replace it. So we're about to head into the next break again. And then we still didn't really get to a lot of the business aspect. I say legal things, but what you need to do to kind of set up your own business. So when we come back, we'll get started with that. But Gina, if you could please give everybody your website one more time.
It's www.moonglowminerals.com.
Okay. And Elysa, where can people find you?
Popyk Lux on Etsy.
On Etsy. Okay. All right. Very good. All right, everybody, stay with us and we'll be back in just a few more minutes.
Hi, this is the Celtic seer, Barbara McGillicuddy, and you can find me at barbara.mcgillicuddy.com or on YouTube at Metaphysical Awakenings with Barbara and Eric. As a medium and animal communicator, it is my joy to speak with people on this side and people who have crossed over to bring forth beautiful messages of love.
Hi, I'm Susan from My Enchanted Path, where I create divinely guided candles, intention oils, soaps, and more that make your spiritual practice simple. No complicated rituals needed. The names may be playful, but every product is serious about helping you shift your energy. All fragrances are clean and safe, free from the major toxins no one wants in their home or on their skin. With a 5-star rating and over 100,000 customers, MyEnchantedPath.com is a place to find charming items for an enchanted life.
Are you longing for the deepest healing of your soul? The kind that transforms you from the soul outward? At JewishHealer.com, Dr. Doran Shalev offers powerful energy healing rooted in the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, where he heals the body through the soul and the soul through divine connection. Your transformation begins with a single session. Treat yourself and book yours today at JewishHealer.com. All sessions are 50% off through December.
Join us for Spirit Fest, coming soon to a city near you. Spirit Fest is a metaphysical, holistic, and crystal expo featuring an amazing array of vendors, speakers, authors, artists, crystals, healers, psychic readers, and more. Spirit Fest is your chance to explore and connect with others of like mind. Get all details, including our upcoming locations up and down the East Coast, also discounted admission, and more at spiritfestusa.com. Our next event is January 10th and 11th with special guests and special presentations, including psychic explorer, medium Mark Anthony, and also historical researcher, explorer, and author Jim Vieira. More details are coming to our website soon, and we look forward to seeing you at Spirit Fest in 2026. Welcome, everybody, back to the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. We are in our next segment here about starting a conscious business or how to make your conscious business successful. I'm here with two very successful sole proprietors, ladies who have started their business from the ground up, creating their own products, and have done just such a fabulous job of making their businesses successful. So we talked in the last couple of segments about things that are important, being having a website, being on social media, things that you need to do when you start your business. But one thing that's really cool is when you've decided you're going to start your business, you really looked at what your product is going to be or what your service is going to be, and you're picturing yourself now offering this to other people. When you start the website or start even thinking about what the name of your website is going to be, and oh my gosh, that's a process. I always go to GoDaddy and then you can just type in the different websites and see what's available, and it will tell you if it's not. Sometimes what you want isn't available, and then you have to get really creative. That's why I said. But when you're doing that, you're creating the energy of your business, and then you can watch it develop. It might be that if what you exactly wanted isn't available, there might be some other options, and then that gives you things to kind of chew on maybe for a day or so before you actually purchase your website. And we've got a bunch because we had changed our mind over different things. And if you even think you might want something, get it. It's usually really cheap for the first year. Highly recommend. But then same with your social media sites. As you're starting their social media site, even if you don't like it, even if you don't really want to do it, when once you start it and then you get your name and you are official, it's that energy's moving now. You've really got that, that momentum going. So that's another really good reason to start those things. So then the next thing that is really important is to get yourself a business license, and it might be called, it's your sales and use tax thing. So that's what you're registering it with the state so that you can collect income tax. And that is also really important, even if you aren't selling anything yet. Again, you're certified, but most importantly, what you get with that is your resale license so that you can buy things tax free. So you buy it tax free because then when you sell it, you're going to collect the tax and then pay it. So they still get their money. But that is something that I would also recommend doing early. I don't believe that there is any exclusivity with the name. So I think you can have the same name as somebody else with the business license. Have you guys had any issues with that? Yeah, I think if you're going to trademark, that's when you want to look. But it's not a bad idea to actually go to the trademark website and look and see who else is trademarked, thinking that you're going to be really big someday and you don't want to get a license of somebody that's clearly got a trademark named. So there's two ways to do that. You could go to the state. In Florida, it's Sunbiz. That's where you would file your business license, and you can search on there and see anybody else, even closed accounts who may have had the same names. And it's very helpful to do that. And then the trademark, you could just Google. Make sure it's the official government site though, because there's a lot of ones when you Google a trademark that want you to think that they're the official site so that you can pay them to do your trademark for you. But that's the beginning of your business. So you've got your product or your service. You see yourself, you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Then you're going to actually set up the business aspect of it too. And let me ask you guys a funny question. Do you guys have checks? Do you write checks ever?
No.
Never?
I take
I,
them.
what's that?
I take them.
You take them. I still write them because a lot of places will charge us the 4%. So when we're purchasing or renting a venue, which is going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars, that 4% really adds up. But I've had, I think I got like 4 or 6 checks years ago and I'm finally running out. So I need to even figure out, I think you got to go through the bank. I don't even know where to get them anymore. But it's not a bad idea of something to consider for that. So do you guys deal with any businesses, wholesalers, or anybody that you have to pay that'll add that surcharge onto your credit card fee?
I haven't had that experience.
Good. What about you, Gina?
I mean, I have a lot of fees with processing. That's when you're online, there's fees with processing. Wholesale, I do actually have a few wholesale accounts that write checks for me
Mhm.
that pay for their wholesale via checks, or if now I just do, if they're not here locally and I don't bring it to them, I just invoice them.
Right.
And I've been eating the fees, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have to add that fee, to offset the cost that you're paying for it.
Right. So that's why I write checks, but typically I don't like to. And you got to get a envelope and a stamp and it just I just as busy as I am, a lot of times I think I'm going to do it and I don't. I'll just be really honest.
Well, now
So,
you could probably use like Zelle, and you can, it's
not
like,
for the venues or things
oh
like
no.
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
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 they're going to
yeah.
be, a business and but I'm glad that they let us know right off the bat. Sometimes they don't tell us ahead of time. They don't take checks either. We just have to
Wow.
pay the surcharge, which, I don't love. In some states that's illegal. They can give you a discount if you pay cash or check, but they're not allowed to add the surcharge on.
Wow.
But let's talk about the credit card processing or the different types of payment that you take. I really do not like vendors to just take cash at our shows because we usually sit up front where the admission table is, and there's an ATM near the entrance. And I have seen the customers drain the ATM machine on the first day. So when I see that many people go into the ATM, I will ask them what vendor is it? And if I keep hearing the same vendor, I'll go say something to them because these people are getting charged probably to use that ATM because it's not going to be a bank ATM. It's one of the ones that's going to charge you like $8. So I really recommend that people take other forms of payment as well. But Elysa, what else do you take besides cash?
I use Square, and predominantly I use Square, but I also have PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and Zelle.
Oh,
Um,
those are good. Okay.
I'll take all forms of payment, but I prefer to use Square. It's easier to keep track of all of my expenses.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way. And it's got that little square thing where they can just tap their card and then you don't have to touch it. That's just one less thing. And it's so quick. Or on your phone now. Now the phone thing will let you tap, and that's almost as quick as the little thingamabob. We still have to keep it's a little thing that we plug into one of our older phones that you can swipe it because some people want to use gift cards or they don't have a card with a tap, believe it or not. Gina, what else do you take besides cash and checks?
And cards. Having CBD in your products has made a very challenging process of processing cards.
Yeah.
I've been shut down multiple times by multiple payment processors. You're very limited, and you're paying higher fees, but it's
Mhm.
it's part of the business. So I have authorized.net, I think is who I'm using now. I had Square, but they dropped me. So it's very frustrating when you are at a high considered high risk business because of the product. So
Is it because of the CBD or the
yep,
magnesium?
the CBD.
Okay. I have heard that about the CBD, definitely any type of marijuana or THC products. But the psychic readers, believe it or not, a
Yes.
lot of them are getting booted off Square and Stripe, and that's not anything new.
Yeah.
So if anybody's doing that right now, they shouldn't be, too concerned, but it's something to be consider when you're doing your marketing or even your name. If
It's
your legal name is, so and so psychic reader, that might be something that you want to consider. And unfortunately, it's like what we talked about. There are a lot of fakers and posers and frauds out there.
And I think
Um,
that's why, because it's funny you brought that up, because I have another business, and it's reading and doing that type of work. And when I named it and when I got the website, I did it specifically so you wouldn't even know that that's what it is.
Good.
It's the fulldeck.net. And
Uh-huh.
so because I do the cards, so instead of saying, I didn't even put cards in there because I have heard of other people in this space get their payment processors shut down just because of
Mhm.
the psychic readings type energy. So I was
Right.
very conscious about when I did that to make
Uh-huh.
sure you couldn't, like, what do you do, decks? Yeah, absolutely.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's really frustrating. But again, just take it as
You just have
a
to be aware.
challenge to do something different. So you did find somewhere though that will process cards for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And I don't really understand it because CBD Is it because it's unregulated
Yeah.
or, I
The
mean,
bank, it's not federally regulated still, and so the banks, it's higher risk, and you
okay.
are dealing with, again, imposters, garbage product,
Yeah.
and that's something that and they still haven't even regulated like they said they were going to. I mean, even down to like the testing. You're supposed to have a QR code on your label where people can pull up the test. I have everything
Hmm.
because they've gotten more strict with it, but it's still not like if you don't have it, you can't find someone to payment process you. It's just you may have a harder time finding someone, but you just have to
Hmm.
be, follow the rules, make sure you have everything in place. It's a great product to have and to sell. It's very beneficial, but again, because it's still not regulated, you're also not even just payment processors, but the banks themselves, they don't want any part of it either.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was challenging.
Yeah. Well, and even still, uh, every once in a while, I get some kind of, oh, type responses when I tell people what we do. But it's just more and more common now, I feel like. And again, in California,
Mhm.
all of this stuff, the CBD and everything is just so much more understood.
Mhm.
Which is one of the reasons I think it's going to be fun to be able to do shows out west in addition to Florida and then the eastern states that we're doing as well.
Let's go.
Um, what's that?
I said, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
Yay.
We're actively looking, and I like to be very tactful. And the first thing that I'm doing is looking what other shows like ours are going on out there because I think that that's ethical and kind and considerate, and that's what I would like to do. I don't want to go out there and just, step on people's toes, because I'll be really frank, people are doing it to us, and I don't like it at all. We're a spiritual business, and I think they should be just at least a little bit considerate. And a lot of times we are at the mercy of when we can get a venue. And, but even still, I would not schedule a show, 3 weeks before somebody else's show, much less the weekend before somebody else's show. So, so we're looking at that, and then we're looking at venues, and then we are considering, and believe it or not, I even looked at how much it would cost to charter an airplane. Uh, I
Wow.
know. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't really know that we're going to be able to do it, but it would only seat 6 people. It's just a whole nother conversation. But again, I'm just getting the energy out there, right? Because I want our best vendors to be able to come with us. But that's why I talked about what you guys did, because like Gina, you said you had a lot of people that came, but
Mhm.
if it was just you, or maybe you both have kids, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You might want to bring the kids because
Mhm.
there's theme parks out there too, or to have a vacation. And I know your kids have been with you in the booth, that they can help you sometimes. Again, if we want to do it, we'll just make it happen. So,
So something we could do is because a lot of us have like stuff that we bring, for setup and to save on costs. If you get, I know we have a group for the vendors.
mhm.
Hey, let's rent a van. You and
Yes,
I, we split this. We're just gonna drive. We'll make it a fun trip. But now we can fit all of our setup,
yes,
and if a few of us chip in and even get an Airbnb, now we're saving on cost,
yes.
right? So I
Yeah,
think
I
that,
do encourage to
yeah,
do Airbnbs in any city,
yeah,
actually. We try to do hotel blocks, but just gosh, they're so expensive now.
yeah.
And it is hard. And I even look for hotels that have suites. So 2 bedrooms, maybe like in a little living room, that
Hmm.
even that is a little bit cheaper than did 2 different rooms or whatever. But it's just so fun. And the energy when we take our things there too, not only do we meet more people, but then they see us, they get ideas. And, there's really kind of a really great, excuse me, crossover between that too. So let me ask you this. So as we're preparing, oh, we need to finish up with the legal stuff too. So you've got your product or your service all done. You see yourself being able to offer this to other people. So you now are going to get your business name so that you can get your resale license. So you can order things wholesale. That would be crystals that you might sell, or anything that you're going to sell that you're going to, sell to the public. And then that process is going to encourage you to look at other names or see whatever businesses in your state or even the nation are doing. And then you've got your social media and you've got your website. And I can't read my own writing right here. Um, so taxes, they're not fun. but they need to be done. So we all have our different ways of doing them. I love the all your receipts in the bag. The shoebox, I've really heard of everything, but I know how I like to do them. And it's harder for me to do things like Quicken because they need to be entered on a regular basis all the time. So I have things laid out so that at any time during the year I can find what I need. And then I spend a week putting everything together for my very kind and understanding tax guy. And how I found him was I went to one of the major tax companies and excuse me, it was 2 days before the deadline. And I had everything for him, and he just said, with a business, this is going to take longer to do. So he got it done for me, but I mean, just by the nick of time. But he was retiring and is now in business for himself. And so I love him because now I can call him for everything. So that is something else that I would also suggest to people is having somebody that you can ask questions to, just random things, or you just don't ever know what could come up. Or, but even the departments too, if you need help with your sales tax, if you need help with the IRS, you can call them or send them an email. But we talked about delegating, which Gina, you suggested, and I think that that's really a good idea, is being able to find people that are able to help you. So what kind of jobs or tasks have you been able to delegate out that have saved you time, or given it over to somebody who knows more about it than you do?
Definitely taxes. If you're gonna
Okay.
do anything, the tax stuff, because it's a foreign language to me. I don't know what I'm doing, and I will never claim to know what I'm doing. I'd rather
Mhm.
pay someone. It takes the stress away. It's worth it. That's one thing I've learned. Like when I started, you want to do everything because it is just you, and you may have limiting funds, but if you can find a way to delegate some funds for taxes, if you're not website savvy, which I'm not, I've had to have people, I've paid people to build my website. I'm actually looking right now to have someone maintain it. And that stuff is very costly. And
Mhm.
it's not cheap.
Yes.
But that's part of the price of doing business sometimes. And you have to spend money to make money. And
Mhm.
so it's just figuring out, okay, what's the most important thing? You can file an extension too, by the way. I file an extension every
Mhm.
year
Yes. Yes.
for taxes because we're never on time with them. And so yeah, I that's definitely delegated. It's better. You can only do so much before you stress yourself out, or you'll do like I do and ignore it because I don't
Hmm.
want to do it. And then you're like your deadline, you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? You're panicking. Don't do that to yourself. If you can afford it, pay someone that knows what they're doing. What may take me 3 weeks, they can do in 3 hours. Like it's worth
Hmm.
it. It really
Yeah.
is.
And the tax professionals are all around.
Yeah.
Things like the Fiverr, that's why I thought that was a good idea because people can do everything from your logo, which is something else you'll want to consider. You might be able to do it yourself with Canva and everything now, but people can suggest things or craft things for you really inexpensively on there, and it's their living as well. So, what about you, Elysa? I know that you sometimes get helpers in your booth, to help you with the shows, which I'm sure takes a lot off of it's difficult to run a booth by yourself at a show. You have to go to the bathroom eventually. What other things have you found that have really helped you out?
So I'm really bad at delegating. I do everything myself if I can. The taxes I do pay someone to do for me. As far as helping at my booth, I really haven't found anyone consistently to help all the time. I have a friend who helps me when I'm on the west coast of Florida, and then out of state, I have another friend who will be with me at Memphis. Um, but I'm still looking for that partnership of someone who can help me at the booth full time because I would like to be in multiple places.
Hmm.
There was one piece of advice I wanted to give for having everything in the same place. Etsy links to Square, and
Hmm.
Square gives you a free website. So you
Oh, okay.
your own website on Square and
Okay.
link everything, and then Etsy will automatically advertise your listing so you're not paying anything extra. The caveat is it has to be a handmade product.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
And then as far as like the business expenses and taxes and things, Square sends you your form with
Hmm.
made and all that. Um, and you can use that Square card to track all of your expenses. And
Yes.
that's helped me tremendously
Hmm.
keep with like, okay, this card I am only using when I'm buying
Hmm.
for the business. And then that way, if I need to figure out what date this transaction was, it's all
Yeah.
right.
That's really important for me too. We have cards that we only use for the business and for nothing else. And then that just makes that easier. I believe Square is also connected to Weebly. So if you sell products on Weebly, the payments will go through Square. Now, same with Wix. You can make it connect to Weebly, or I'm sorry, to Square, really, or Stripe, or to any of the other things too. But streamlining that does help. So we are getting to the end of our show, though. Here we've got 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask each of you if we were to do this again in a year, and we're going to pretend it's a year from now, and you're telling us about everything that you've done since we did this show right now. What are you gonna say, Gina?
So as you know, I am um, doing two businesses now. And
Hmm.
so I do have someone that will be working the moon glow where I'm going to be doing my spiritual practices of doing the readings through the cardology destiny cards. So that is where I'm looking to grow. I love doing this work. I love helping people, and I'm very blessed to have two businesses that do that. Whether it's through
Hmm.
your body, your health, or your own spiritual practices, you're, leading you back to you and understanding you. So I'm excited because Sarasota will be the first show that I do readings at. So
Oh, that is exciting. Yeah.
yeah, a year from now, it could flip,
Hmm.
but again, both of my things that I do are very much about helping people. And as long as I'm
Hmm.
in that space, I know that that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm very
Hmm.
grateful to be able to do this work and really be living out my purpose.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. It's exciting. All right, Elisa, where are you going to be a year from now?
I would like to have found someone to help me, so a business partner, sort so to speak. Um, and I would like to have my business in stores, in boutiques. That would
Hmm.
be a dream.
Hmm. That's definitely doable. Gina, you have products all over the country, don't you?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So,
I'm
okay.
retailed all over, so I can help you. And it's funny, most of them found me, and it's from doing
Oh,
shows. I've never
okay.
really had to knock on many doors, and again, very blessed. I've had to do a few, but mostly have found me. So it's just getting, keep going, make those contacts, and like samples are great. I spent
Hmm.
like 3 weeks one day going through businesses and just offering to send sample packets.
That's
And
terrific. That's
yep.
terrific. All right, we've got to go, everybody. Thank you so much. And Elisa, both of you, I can't wait to see where you guys are going to be doing readings, where your products are going to be in stores, and all of the great things that we're going to be doing at Spirit Fest. People find us at spiritfestusa.com. Elisa, what's your website?
Popyk Lux on Etsy.
Gina, what's yours?
www.moonglowminerals.com or thefulldeck.net as well.
Thank you so much, you guys. This was a great conversation, and I know a lot of people are going to be benefiting from it. And thank you to everyone who viewed us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for spending this time with me here on the Sanctuary Network. Tune in every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Transformation Network as we gather to share stories, wisdom, and practices that remind us of something essential. Sanctuary isn't just a place you go, it's a space you create in your heart, your home, and your daily life. I hope today's conversation sparked something in you, a sense of belonging, a new idea, or simply a reminder that you are not alone on this journey. If this touched you, please share it with someone who could use a little light. Together, we can grow this circle of sanctuary and inspire a ripple of healing around the world. And don't forget, the journey continues at spiritfestusa.com, thesanctuarynetwork.com, and naturalwellnessexpo.com. And of course, every week right here on Transformation Network. Until next time, may you be well, may you be inspired, and may you live fully in sanctuary.